of the most famous serial killers of all time is known as Jack the Ripper. The name Jack the Ripper refers to the killer that was responsible for all the murders in the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. The murderer was also known as the Whitechapel Murderer or the Leather Apron Killer. He targeted only prostitutes and killed them by slitting their throats and mutilating their abdomens. The name Jack the Ripper also came from a letter that was supposed to be from the killer himself. The From Hell letter was received by George Lusk of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee and included a kidney from one of the victims. Ideas that the murders were connected intensified in October and November of 1888. More letters proposing to be the killer were received by media outlets in Scotland Yard. More murders kept happening in Whitechapel. 11 murders stretching from April 3rd, 1888 to February 13th, 1891 were reported by the London Metropolitan Police Investigation and were known as the Whitechapel Murders. However, the large amount of attacks committed on women in that area at that time made it hard to prove that the murders were performed by the same killer. At least 5 of the murders, however, were supposed to be made by Jack the Ripper. These 5 murders were called the Canonical 5. Deep throat slashes, abdomen and genital area mutilation, removal of internal organs, and progressive facial mutilation were the distinctions from the Ripper. The Canonical 5 included Mary Ann Kelly, Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes. Okay. Nicholas was the first. She was discovered at 3:40 a.m. on Friday, August 31st, 1888 in Bucks Road, Whitechapel. She suffered from 2 cuts in her throat, and her lower abdomen was deeply ripped by a jagged wound. Several other incisions were discovered on her abdomen and were made by the same knife. Chapman was discovered at 6 a.m. on September 8th. She also suffered from 2 cuts in her throat. Her abdomen was entirely ripped open and her uterus was missing. Stride, the third victim, was discovered at 1 a.m. at Dutfield's Yard in Whitechapel. She died from a clear cut which severed the main artery in her left side of her neck. Eddowes, the fourth victim, was discovered at 1:45 a.m. in London. Her throat was severed and her abdomen was cut open and her left kidney and major part of her uterus had been removed. Near the crime scene, a bloody apron was found, and above the apron was writing on the wall, which believed to have been written by the killer. The police commissioner, Charles Warren, feared that the writing would cause riots and scare people, so he ordered for the writing to be washed off the walls before dawn. Kelly, the last victim, was discovered at 10:45 a.m. on Friday night, November the 9th, 1888. She was found in her 1-bedroom house where she lived in Spitalfields. Her throat had been severed all the way down to the spine. Her abdomen had been emptied of its organs and her heart was missing. All of these murders were committed around the same time and at night and either on the weekend or very close to the weekend. 4 other murders occurred after the Canonical 5. Some believe that they were committed by Jack the Ripper, but others believe that it was someone else trying to imitate his work. All of the Canonical 5 murders happened on the weekend and within a few streets from each other. People believe that Jack the Ripper was a local man that had worked during the week because of this. But others believe that he was an upper-class man maybe even a doctor, and he just came from someplace close to Whitechapel. Over the years, everybody that was somehow connected to the murders wound up being one of the suspects. However, nobody really knows who Jack the Ripper is, and his identity has over 100 theories.